It's not been a good year for the Chinese tech business Alibaba. The stock is down about 25% for the year so far. So is it oversold? Are we due a bounce? Or actually, is this slide set to continue? I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at Alibaba, considering the size of the slide. Look, October 2020, the stock was almost $320. And here we are now trading at 174 at the time of recording. We are not a million miles away from the March 2020 low. So I think it is interesting down here, given the size of the decline and the fact that it hasn't stopped so far, to look at what are the reasons behind this and where could be a potential turning point. So as usual, in this video, I'll talk a bit about the company, some of the recent news, the big levels to watch, then we'll come back onto the charts and take a look at things in a bit more detail. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we would do an update on Alibaba, given the fact the stock has not been having the best time of it, down about 25% so far this year. So as usual in this video, I'll talk about some of the recent news around the company. We'll look at the big levels to watch, then we'll jump back onto the platform and take a look at the charts and the technicals in a bit more detail and see where this slide might end. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel and it means we can continue to push out lots of different content on the various stocks we look at throughout the month. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Alibaba in a bit more detail. So if you're not familiar with the company, it's a Chinese multinational technology company specializing in e-commerce, retail, and the internet in general. The company was founded in 1999 by Jack Ma, and it came to the market IPO'd, so you could buy stock in the company from the last quarter of 2014. Its latest earnings was something of a mixed bag. The company beat expectations on earnings per share, so that was a positive, but it missed expectations when it came to revenue and the number of customers it had was slightly below market expectations. So that didn't really help sentiment towards the stock. It also got fined $2.8 billion in April of this year by the Chinese government, and that was following an anti-monopoly probe into the company. And this sort of government regulation and perhaps a heavier hand taken by the Chinese government is something that is going to, I think, or has been quite an uncertainty for investors, and we all know investors don't like uncertainty. Chinese stocks have also been weaker. Chinese tech stocks have been weaker in recent days on concerns of a new law that's going to limit how technology companies can use customer data that's being brought in potentially by the Chinese government. So again, this is something that has weighed on the sector as a whole, and Alibaba hasn't escaped that. So for the year so far, it's not been a good one. The stock is down by a quarter, 25%, and at the time of recording is trading at its lowest levels since the March 2020 lows from last year, when of course we saw plenty of stocks hit because of the coronavirus, but they've all bounced back strongly, or lots of them have bounced back strongly. Not so for Alibaba. Let's look at the big levels to watch, and we'll take a look at the charts. So for me, the most immediate hurdle on the upside is the highs for August, coming in around $203 for the stock. On the downside is where it gets interesting, because we do have lots of potential support, not too far below the current price. And the first of these, the one to watch, is that March 2020 low. That comes in at $170. So as usual, to put some color on these numbers, let's take a look at the charts, take a look at the technicals, and see, is this slide going to stop, or actually is the trend downwards going to continue for the company? I thought we'd start things off with a longer moving average than usual, a 50-day moving average, just to try and catch some of the bigger swings in the stock. So again, as a recap, the way moving averages work, when the price moves above the moving average, like here, May of 2020, signals a buy signal or suggests that perhaps a new trend is starting. When the price falls below the moving average, like here, it was a bit scrappy, but in November 2020, we had a move below the moving average, suggests that perhaps the trend downwards is starting. And we've had a few attempts along the way down to break back above the moving average. They haven't lasted long before the stock has slid further The last sell signal we had was back in July of this year, with the stock falling through the moving average around 220. And here we are now trading just below 175. At the moment, that moving average is sitting at 206. So it would take a rally of about $30, 20% from here to break above that moving average. So the moving average still bearish for Alibaba. If we bring the RSI onto the chart, it's oversold, which isn't surprising given the weakness we're seeing in the stock. And it does show, I think, that the risk of relying on overbought, oversold signals in a strong trending market. It was oversold in July. We did get a half decent bounce off that, but only for the stock to plunge further. So looking very oversold at the moment. So perhaps we will get something of a short-term bounce, but it doesn't mean that that trend is over. So what I want to do is take a look at the trend, take a look at the price action, and see what the next few weeks and months might hold. I think it's really interesting where we're heading to at the moment. We have those lows from March 2020 coming in around $170. So, only $4 or so below where we are now. I think that's going to be an interesting area to watch to see if we can see something of a turnaround for the stock price. After that, we're looking at the October lows coming in ahead of 160. Then we've got these July 2019 lows down at 150-ish. So we've got this whole 150 to 170 area had been good support in the past on the way up. Are we going to see a change in sentiment by investors down here? We'll have to wait and see. But I think it's a really interesting zone to watch over the next few weeks and months. But for now, at least, off those highs set in October 2020, that trend is still down. Downtrends don't tend to turn around abruptly, so it may take some time until we see a base being built for Alibaba. So at the time of recording, it's still weak. It's made a new low for this downtrend. Let's watch this zone over the next few weeks and see if we do see it build a base down there. But for now, that trend since those October highs is still very much down. That's it for this update on Alibaba. We'll see how it performs over the weeks ahead. An interesting one to watch, I think, bearing in mind those March lows, 2020 lows, aren't too far away. We'll come back to it and do an update. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.